Okay, so welcome back to podcast Miss Kinanti. So today is our first podcast. And I'm very glad today because like on my first podcast, I have a great partner to accompany me on my first podcast. So welcome here, Deky. Hello, Deky.
Hello, Miss Kinanti. Nice.
Hello, how are you today, Deky?
I'm great. How about you?
I'm a very great also today. It's a very good day for me because like, I'm having you today for my podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super proud to be invited to your first podcast. I hope I will
Oh,
be
thank you so much.
I hope I will be a help for you and everyone for this podcast.
Okay, we hope so. Like my podcast is for sharings about you actually, especially about you. And then I want you to share about your experience while having an exchange student and many more. But before I start the podcast, okay, would you like to introduce yourself to our subscriber here or for my students here so they will know about your profile?
Okay. I'm sorry it's a little bit noisy here, but anyway, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Deky. I am currently studying industrial engineering and I am currently in my fifth semester. And I think that's all about me. Or do you want to know about anything else?
Okay, so actually that's your profiling as an UPN Veteran Jawa Timur student. So actually, guys, so Deky is a student in UPN Veteran Jawa Timur and he is on industrial engineering department, and he is now on the fifth semester. But here, why I'm so glad for having Deky here on my first podcast because, Deky is a very extraordinary student that I ever met because, I didn't know that he also ever had an experience for having an exchange students. Is that true, Deky?
Yes, that is true.
Okay. Hey, Deky, so where do you get this chance? Where do you go for your exchange students?
Okay, so actually it was all started when I was in 10th grade of high school and I joined one of like extracurricular in my school. It's called English Community, where we learn about something in class like grammar, vocabulary, and something like that. But they also help us to improve ourselves, like for any kind of competition, like debate, drama, and something like that. And one day they received information about Bina Antar Budaya Surabaya, which is an organization about exchange student and related to exchange student stuff. And we received information that they have opened registration about exchange student program, and we were so excited to hear about it. Let's say we were so enthusiastic about it, and then we went through a lot of stages. We went through stage 1 until 4 in Surabaya, and then national stages of selection and then international stages of selection. And finally, like after 1.5 years ish, I was gratefully and still am gratefully to be selected to be part of like 160 or something like that students around Indonesia to be able to be the delegation. Oh, yeah, delegation.
Okay, Vicky,
Yeah.
before you continue your story about the process until you can get the student exchange chance, would you tell me where do you school?
Oh, okay. I'm from SMA Negeri 2 Lamongan, one of school in Lamongan. I live in Lamongan, so yeah.
Okay, thank you, Vicky. Okay, so would you like to continue about the process until you get a chance for having an exchange students? So after you do some kind of selections and after that, and then you were chosen to be part of the exchange students. So where do you go? Where did you go for your exchange students?
I am super grateful to be one of the students to have the chance to go to United States of America on a full scholarship from U.S. Department of State Ministry of Education. So yes, I spent like 1 year, not really 1 year, but one academic year in United States. as a
So
foreign
it's about
foreign
like a
student.
6 months,
It's 10 months,
10
so like
months.
2 semesters.
So where did you stay in US? I mean, like, where is the regions? Where did you
Okay.
stay?
I stayed in one of city in Texas. It's called Venus. It's Venus like the planet. I was yeah. It's kind of like cool because where everyone's my friends talking about, oh, I'm going to Rome, Italy. I'm going to San Diego. I'm going to here and there. And oh no, I'm going to another planet. That was my
Okay,
yeah.
so you were on Texas. So you were on
Yes,
Texas.
I was in Texas.
Okay, so Deky, so while you got a chance for having an exchange students in US, especially in Texas, and especially again on Venice. Okay. Okay. So when you were there, do you got that kind of experience such as like cultural shock or some things when you were there?
Of course, I had a cultural shock when I first arrived in US. I grew up in Indonesia for like 16 or 17 years before, and I never in my life I went to abroad. That was my first time to be overseas from my little home in Lamongan. And then when I first arrived there, I feel like everything is different. Like literally everything is different. And I learned a lot of things that I never understood before. Like it's not common in here. And then my main issue, aside from the language, I feel like the very, very big difference from Indonesia and the United States is the way we speak. In Indonesia, we speak in like indirect way. So where we don't directly say what we meant to say. But in US, they directly say what they want to express, what they want to say, just like example, like when we visit someone, we visit our friend or our family, and they would offer us, do you want drink or do you want food? And in Indonesia, particularly, we would say, no, thank you. We're not hungry. We're not thirsty or something like that.
Okay.
Don't bother yourself, something like that, right? But then just that's just like a form of us being polite and not want to bother them, something like that, right? But actually, if we actually say, yes, you want them, they actually don't really mind that we actually want drink or food from them, right? Because they actually mean to offer or give us some food or drink, right? But in the US, we just, if we want some food or we want some drink, we just directly say, oh, I want soda, or I want, do you have cookies, or do you have something like, we actually directly say that. Maybe in
It's
Indonesia,
more like pointing, yeah. It's just like
yes,
pointing.
yes.
Okay.
And let's say if we say no, if to the offer, they would not give us another offer. So that's no is a no.
Okay. Is this like a different culture with Indonesia? And yes, actually, it's very. I'm so interesting for hearing about your experience in US. But before that, let me know, where do you live in Texas? Do you live in boarding house, or do you live like do you stay with some family in US, or
Uh,
do you live?
in my program, it's called Kennedy Lugar Youth Exchange and Study. We have
Okay.
to live with a host family. Host family is like a family with their native family, US family, and they are volunteer their house to welcome us exchange students, so that we will actually learn about culture, about anything in US directly from the native. So yes, I was part of the host family for 1 year.
Okay, so how do you feel? How did you feel while you live with a Native American's family? How do you feel? How is your experience?
Um, if we're still talking about the cultural stuff, I feel like everything was different, right? And then I'm gonna talk about the language because they are native and they don't speak any language besides English.
English.
And I I would say I was not good in English. I'm still learning English right now, but back then I was still like really bad. I have no courage to speak. I have like my grammar was not really good, and I had to speak English. I had to listen to English like every single second, and my brain really hurts. Like I one day I called my parents and I told them I really don't know how to live here. Like I was this close to giving up. Like yeah.
Okay.
But
So Deky,
like that,
before
I'm sorry.
so Deky, I'm sorry for interrupting you. I'm sorry. But before you start joining the exchange students program, so is there any kind of like requirement like you should be able to speak in English or something? So I think that when you have been chosen to be part of the exchange students, so it means that you are be able to speak in English, isn't it?
During the selection, during the stages of selection, we went through like interview selection, English interview selection. We have to send our voice note speaking about something, and then we have to send our video, a lot of videos. I'm talking about something, but that was like scripted or I had the chance to prepare for what I'm gonna say, and then I had to take. Wait, I forgot. It's like English proficiency test. It's not TOEFL, but like it's LTIS, English language test for international student. Yeah, I had to take that, and then I actually, to be honest, I almost failed that test, but considering about my personal value about everything, they gave me a second chance to improve my English skills. So yes.
So this program is changed you a lot actually for your language skill, your English skill, isn't
yes. It? Yes, it helped me to boost my courage to speak that that especially in my speaking. I had no courage. I was so shy. I was afraid to speak. What if I speak in grammatically error? What if I don't know this vocab? What if what should I do and everything like that? But in the US, it gave me a chance to speak, to learn how to speak, and be able to enjoy to speak in English.
But Deky, before you were joining the exchange students, so did you have any interest with English?
I'm not really sure if I would say this is an interest, but my parents got me into English course since I was like first class in elementary, my first grade in elementary. So I was excelling in English than my friends than my classmates. So that maybe from there I had interest about English.
Okay. And Deky, while you were living in US or especially in Texas, so would you like to tell me or tell us about your experience for having education in US? Is it different to the education system in Indonesia?
Oh, it's totally different.
Okay.
It's like
so
totally
let us
different.
Give us the information about the education system in the US.
Okay. First of all, I would like to tell about the academic system. In Indonesia, we have one Ministry of Education, and this Ministry of Education system all of the education around Indonesia, and we have one, let's say, one curriculum for the whole Indonesia. But in the United States, the education is in the hands of government of states. So let's say it's not the whole US have the same education system. Let's say in Texas, we have different education system in New York because it's different state. Every state has their own education system. And because I live in Texas, so I would like to tell about education system in Texas and the difference between Indonesia and Texas. in Indonesia, normal high school will have like 15 or 16 classes, right, in one semester or in 1 year. But in Texas, I had 7 classes, only 7 classes. It's consisting of, we have 5 mandatory classes. The first one is science, any kind of science like physics, chemistry, whatever. We choose one of them. So I took physics, and then we had to take math, any kind of math. I took calculus, and then we had to take social studies. Like there are US government, US economy, US history, global history, and I had to take US history. It's a mandatory from the US Department of State who awards my scholarship. So I had to take US history. And then English, I had to take English. I took English 3, which is equivalent to 11th grade of English in US. And the last one is I had to take foreign language. But in my case, I already speak 3 different languages, so they didn't actually, they didn't give me the obligation to take the foreign language. So I had to take 4 mandatory classes, and the other 3 I took election. I took theater, I took physical education, and I took design and computer design.
Okay, so Deky, where did you school while you were in Texas?
I'm sorry, Miss?
Where did you school? Where did you school? Where is your school?
Oh, my school was, because I live in Venus, so my school is Venus High School.
Venus High School. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Deky, if you have to choose, I mean, like, which one do you prefer? Do you feel like education system in US is better than in Indonesia, or like you have tried both the education system? Which one do you prefer?
I am personally not sure which one is better, which one is worse. I personally think there is nothing better. It's not that both of them are bad. I would say whichever is good, but they are different. I cannot say which good, which bad, because I personally have different experience, and I think both of them are good. But in US, they mainly teach us like fundamental things instead of chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. We are mainly focused on the fundamental thing. But in Indonesia, I don't know, maybe you know that in Indonesia, we feel like in a sprint competition, we're running this, like in a short amount of time. But in US, we mainly focus on fundamental things, and that will help the next education in college.
Okay, so actually, like more or less, whether in US or in Indonesia, they have like the positive things or the negative things about the education system. Okay, so Deky, we have already talked about the education system in US and also in Indonesia, but let's talk about English. So I'm very grateful for having you as my students. So we ever had in one class, and I know that wow, and then like I like your accents. I like where you were speaking in English. Like there's a difference with any other students, and then when we talk about English, when we talk about the interest of your English, so do you know when we talk about accents?
Mm-hmm.
Like actually we have already our own accents. Indonesian accents or German accents, but when we learn English, we usually are familiar with two accents. UK accents and US accents. So do you think which one is more do you concern with?
You're talking about UK and US accent. Some people say that UK accent is more like authentic. It's more like the original version of English, right? Well, yes, that's kind of true because the US indigenous people don't really speak English Europe before the European come to US. But anyway, personally, because I have lived in US, I feel like US accent is easier for me, easier to speak, easier to listen, even in movies or in YouTube video or anything. When they speak US accent, I personally feel easier to understand, to listen, and everything to communicate with US accent. But for UK accent is very unique, and I am actually interested to learn and to know more about UK accent because I don't know, it sounds cool. It sounds cool. Like where there are like jokes on internet where UK citizens speaks like I don't know, that's kind of cool.
When we talk about the accent, it's actually like it's more easier for us for having US accent rather than UK accents.
Yes.
Because it's like about the dialects and then how the way we speak and something else. Okay, Deky, so actually like, there are a lot of things that I want to really discuss with you, like I believe that you have a lot of experience about, it's not only about English, it's not only about the education system that you ever had in US and in Indonesia. And so let's move to about the politics system. And it's quite like, wow, it's a big topic for us to talk this morning. But let's try to talk politics in a very, in a very easy way. So
Okay.
just relax and talk it about just like a piece of cake. Okay, so Deky, so when we talk about the politics system, whether in Indonesia or in the US, what do you think? How is the facts of the politics system, whether in US or in Indonesia?
In US, we have democracy ideologies, which is not that different from Indonesia. But Indonesia, we have Pancasila as our ideology. The main difference the main difference is that a lot of things, just as I mentioned before, like education system. This in Indonesia we have like one main government. Like the government rules basically everything. Like in our capital, they rule a lot of things, but in US they spread the rules. So like every state has their rights to
the regulation system.
Yes, the regulation system. So like education and then taxes and a lot of things.
Okay, so Deky, you are Indonesians,
Yes.
and then while you have a chance to go to Texas, is it difficult for you to keep your ideology as Indonesians and still living in US?
Oh, that's really good. That's a really good question. In the US, I don't know, they have this culture that they don't really mind about other people's business. So let's say I am an Indonesian and I have ideologies and I have my own way of thinking. Most people there will respect about what I want to say. I have the liberty to think what I want to think, to be what I want to be. So maybe some of the time I have like difficulties to understand them, or difficulties to understand my thinking way, but most of the time they will respect my opinion, they will respect my choice. So I really am glad that they have that kind of culture. So I didn't really have struggles to be an Indonesian with Indonesian ideology, with an Indonesian culture, to be in a whole different country.
So, do you think Pancasila is very help you to be able to socialize?
Okay. In Pancasila, Pancasila contains a lot of things. Knowing that Indonesia is very, very heterogeneous, a lot of different cultures, a lot of different ethnicities, language, and everything to become one, or in Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, or unity in diverse.
It is
right. So that that unity in diversity itself helps me to be one of citizen in US, because US is basically like Indonesia. There are a lot of cultures, a lot of cities, and where everyone around the world comes to the US for they hope they would have a better living and better future. Just like that, I understand about tolerances. I grew up in Indonesia, where tolerancy is like one of the important things to live as Indonesian. And then when I went to the US, it's still the same thing. Tolerancy is the very important thing that we have to learn, we have to implement in our life.
Okay, Deky, so maybe we can use bahasa for our next conversations. I mean, like, not all of my students will be able to understand while we were using English. So let's start using bahasa. Jadi, Deky, menurut Deky sejauh ini Pancasila tuh penting nggak sih buat Deky? Terutama ketika Deky melakukan kegiatan student exchange atau ketika masuk di perguruan tinggi, penting banget nggak sih Pancasila buat Deky secara pribadi?
Oke, kalau menurut saya pribadi ya, Miss, untuk Pancasila itu sendiri, karena Pancasila itu sendiri adalah sebuah ideologi bangsa, ya, ideologi negara. Menurut aku Pancasila itu sangat penting ya. Ini bukan sekedar karena kita lagi podcast nih ya.
Iya, oke. Itu pribadi aja ya. Sejauh ini Deky gimana sih kita mau implementasikan Pancasila gitu kan?
Menurut aku Pancasila itu sangat penting sekali, karena dari tujuan Pancasila itu sendiri adalah untuk mempersatukan bangsa kita, udah dari sila pertama sampai sila kelima, dan juga ideologi bangsa kita itu dari Pancasila itu sendiri bertujuan untuk membentuk warga negara yang yang baik dan paham,
yang karakter gitu ya, Deky ya.
Jadi sebuah karakter gitu, bagaimana sih untuk menjadi warga negara Indonesia yang baik dan paham hukum dan paham karakter Indonesia itu seperti apa gitu. Jadi kita bisa lebih mengetahui hak dan apa sih hak dan kewajiban kita sebagai warga negara itu seperti apa yang bisa kita dapatkan, dan juga apa yang harus kita lakukan untuk konsekuensi dari hak-hak yang kita dapatkan, seperti itu sih kayak.
Deky, do you think that Pancasila is very helpful for you to characterize yourself while you were on the board?
Yes, Pancasila helped me a lot. Pancasila taught me a lot of things how to be a really good citizen, how to know what my rights and what my obligations. So I know that how to be a good Indonesian citizen, and it helped me to be a good global citizen, so that I will understand what I have and what I have to do in wherever I am, whether it's in Indonesia or it's in the United States.
Jadi ini ya, mungkin I don't know, it's just like my opinion. I think that Pancasila can characterize ourselves. Jadi kita lebih dengan Pancasila ini menunjukkan bahwa we are Indonesians, membentuk karakter kita. Jadi ketika kita di luar, ini orang Indonesia ini, kayak gitu. Menurut kamu kayak gitu nggak sih, Deky?
Yes. A lot of people think that why you have to do that, is that why you have to do that because you're Indonesian, or is it real? Is it common in Indonesian for people to do something particular like voting or tolerance and everything like that, and they would actually ask that something different about me from US normal US citizen, and they would instantly say that, is that how Indonesian people do this, or is that how Indonesian way to complete this.
Oke, jadi dengan ini ya, mungkin Deky ketika mengaplikasikan ideologi Pancasila tuh juga ini ya, mempromosikan bahwa orang Indonesia tuh seperti ini, kayak gitu ya, bahwa sebenarnya ideologi Pancasila ini malah membentuk karakter bahwa orang Indonesia itu di mata dunia tuh lebih baik, dengan bahwa Pancasila tuh nggak mungkinlah membawa kita ke arah-arah yang tidak baik kayak gitu. Jadi like we try to characterize ourselves by having Pancasila ideology, so we just try to bring up Indonesia to be more globalized with Pancasila and many more. Okay, so Deky, so while we talk about Pancasila, so Panca is like the fundamentals of our country, and then how to applicate it is when we talk about state defense atau bela negara lah yang kita kenal ya, Deky ya. Gitu. Deky ini selama menjadi mahasiswa UPN Veteran Jawa Timur, bagian dari kampus bela negara, sejauh mana sih Deky sudah mengaplikasikan bela negaranya?
Oke, sejauh mana untuk mengaplikasikan bela negara ya? Mungkin bela negara ini.
That you have got that course, right? You have got that course when you were on third semester. Okay.
Yes. I personally would say state defense is not about military defense. It's not that we have to protect our country from military attacks or something like that. I would say we can do this as college students. We can promote our country. We can promote our ideologies, our language. We can promote Indonesia as a whole country, so that Indonesia will be a better place, a better country, so that we can move forward to improve our country. And as a college student, we can actually learn a lot of things, so that we are going to be the leader of the country. So if we learn a lot of things and we prepare ourselves to be the future leaders, we actually and we know that we have a lot of flaws, we have a lot of luck here and there, and as I don't know, maybe we can be the future leaders and we can fix things and make Indonesia a better place, a better country, both in political and social culture.
Deky, menurut Deky nih ya, mata kuliah bela negara ini kan cuma ada di UPN ya. It's only in UPN. So like when you go college in other UPN, so you won't got this course. Okay. Menurut Deky nih, mata kuliah bela negara ini, do you feel so blessed for getting this course, or like, do you think that this course should be given to all of the students in Indonesia?
Menurut aku pribadi ya, semua orang bukan hanya mahasiswa ya, itu menurut aku semua orang itu harus mendapatkan mata kuliah bela negara ini, karena di mata kuliah bela negara ini I learned a lot of things that as Indonesian citizen, aku jadi tahu kira-kira apa aja sih yang harus aku lakukan, apa aja sih yang bisa aku lakukan, dan apa aja sih yang aku sebaiknya lakukan gitu. Untuk menjadi warga negara yang baik itu seperti apa. Dan selain itu di era sekarang ya, di era globalisasi kayak gini, kira-kira bela negara yang harus kita lakukan di masa ini dan juga di masa sejarah kan berbeda. Nah itu kira-kira bela negara di masa saat ini tuh harus seperti apa sehingga kita bisa beradaptasi gitu untuk melakukan bela negara, dan bela negara itu macamnya itu apa aja, dan harus yang bisa kita lakukan itu seperti apa aja gitu.
Deky ini kan mahasiswa teknik gitu kan. Biasanya kan rata-rata kalau mata kuliah Pancasila, mata kuliah bela negara itu kan is related with social students gitu kan. But you are engineering students. Menurut Deky, even for engineering student, is it important for you for having this course?
As I mentioned before, it's not about engineering, it's not about social studies, it's not about medical studies. We're talking about me and everyone as an Indonesian citizen. So everyone, no matter what background they have, I'm 100% sure that we have to take bela negara as a basic education for us. It's just to prepare us to be how to be a good Indonesian citizen. It's not about what despite of what backgrounds we have.
Okay, thank you so much, Deky. I mean, like you give very great opinions about Pancasila, about bela negara as the students. You know, I like your last answer. Your last opinion. It doesn't matter what background of us, as long as we are Indonesians, so we learn about bela negara. Thank you so much for today, Deky. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks so much for having you in my podcast. I'm very glad for having it today. And Deky, before like we finish our podcast, would you like to give us last words for all of the audience, for all the students? Would you like to give us your last word to us?
Closing statement ya, aku mungkin sedikit berbagi aja sih. Kalau misalnya aku rasa kita maupun tua muda, kita harus berbangga terhadap jati diri kita sebagai warga Indonesia. Kita harus berbangga terhadap Indonesia. Dimanapun kita berada, kita harus tetap ingat bahwa rumah kita ada di Indonesia. Kemanapun kita berada, kemanapun kita pergi, kita akan pulang kembali ke Indonesia, ke Ibu Pertiwi kita. Mungkin itu aja sih, Miss Penny. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for your closing statement. It's a very good closing statement. I mean that whenever we are, still remember that we are Indonesians. And one more thing, Deky, do you think English is important?
I would say English is important. It's international language, so we can communicate with a lot of people around the world. And in this society, we have a lot of things develops in a fast-paced way, and as an international citizen, as a global citizen, we have to learn about what would global citizen would speak. We have to learn how to communicate with other people outside Indonesia, but we have to remind ourselves that there is this semboyan, and there is this quote that I really like. It's utamakan bahasa Indonesia, lestarikan bahasa daerah, kuasai bahasa asing. So that quote, I don't know, that quote really hits me, that we have to prioritize, that we have to learn Indonesian, because we have to be a proud Indonesian. We have to be proud about what we have. We have to be proud that we are Indonesian, and Indonesian is really great.
Thank you so much, Deky. As you know, I feel like I was slapping with your last word. You know, I just know that, but it's a very great statement. Thank you so much, Deky. I hope that we can meet in another occasions. Thank you so much for giving me time for having this podcast. Okay, Deky, thanks so much today. So, untuk teman-teman yang lainnya, podcast kali ini saya akhiri sampai di sini. Jadi kita akan ketemu lagi untuk podcast berikutnya dengan narasumber yang berbeda lagi. Dan saya ucapkan terima kasih banyak, Deky, buat waktunya saat ini.
Thank you.
Dan terima kasih juga sudah menjadi bagian dari UPN Veteran Jawa Timur. Okay, good luck for your Good luck for the city.
Thank you.
I hope that everything will work well. Okay, bye semuanya.